So welcome to the podcast, Michael. Can you please introduce yourself?
My name's Mike Wong. I'm head of customer success at Outbuild. I've been there 4 years now. I was employee number 3. Was in the industry for 15 years before that. Was started as an architect, recovering architect now out of Chicago. There's no growth or kind of progress in that. The joke is that architects, they don't retire and they don't die. So if you're in an architecture firm, it takes forever to really move up into the industry. So decided to jump out of that, got into construction, started as subcontractor, general contractor, and owner. So I've done everything design through all the seats on the table. So I've really appreciated my experience. I met Franco, our founder, 4 years ago, and he had a great idea and had a great mindset around that idea. And it was easy for me to be like, I want to be a part of this.
Okay. Can you tell me what is the problem that Outbuild is trying to solve?
So we are basically working towards becoming the new standard for scheduling and planning. The industry right now is using a lot of tools that are not purpose-built for construction. They're giant software companies, side projects that have just been adopted by the industry because there really wasn't any other option. And we see a big problem with that. If you ever get into an industry where the main tool you're using was never purpose-built for your use case, there's going to be bloatware. There's going to be things you don't need. There's going to be not a lot of incentive from those large companies to change or innovate.
Yeah, so you're talking about planning and scheduling, right? Most people think that it's already been solved. Why do you think that the P6 or the MS projects isn't solving the problem?
Does anybody say it's solved?
I don't know. Most people think it's solved. The first question is, when you introduce a new solution for planning and scheduling, people always think that their existing tools are solved. So what's broken about their existing tools?
I love that too, that everyone's saying that if somebody could invent a new vacuum cleaner, they would have already, right? And then Dyson comes along and creates an entirely different principle around how you suck up dirt from a carpet, right? So in a sense, I think the idea that, there's a lot of projects, this building probably being one of them, that was built with a Microsoft project tool or P6 tool. Yeah, you can build a building with it, but it's not very efficient. It's not really purposeful.
What is it missing?
Well, you think about it. Do you actually know how Microsoft Project got started?
No.
It's a crazy story. I didn't believe it when I first heard it. I heard it from a scheduler, actually. It was a side project, a joke between 2 programmers, one of which was trying to teach the other how to make eggs Benedict, which is a wild story. It's literally Wikipedia, the second paragraph in Wikipedia. If you type in MS Project, that is what comes out. So it's like amazing that trillions of dollars probably at this point of construction planning has gone through that software specifically. When there's 297 buttons in the menu, when people use 3, and it was a kind of a joke when it first started. Like, it turned into a software that you could run programs through, you can get people aligned, I guess, in terms of what needs to be executed, but it's a software to build not really construction projects, it's to build everything else. So
I would say that they're using MS projects and P6 because somehow you could finish the project with it, but it's not efficient. But somehow you can finish the project with it.
Yeah, just with pure brute force, you can use anything. You use paper and pencil and string.
You can use a shovel. You're trying hard enough, right?
Yeah, which some people do.
Some people do. Some people do that. So, what made you interested in construction technology? Because you started as an architect, then you move on to the other positions, and now I think this is the last position. There's not that many more roles left. So what made you interested in this?
Unless they make a new one, I think I've done about. I've not been venture capitalist or anything like that, which I don't know if I ever want to be that, but I think I chose this because when you're in construction long enough and you've dealt with enough of the same problems over and over again, you get to the point where you're like, okay, there's got to be a better way to do this. And if no one's going to do it, then I'm going to try to find a way to do it. And again, it was really Franco that came up with the idea of Outbuild. Used it in Latin America for many years, and then came to America, rebuilt it. This is why I jumped on board too. He, in a matter of a couple months, moved to the US during a global pandemic, rebuilt his software, decided he was going to attack the biggest construction market in the world with like nobody here. I was employee number 3.
Yes.
Right? Jean was our second hire as head of sales.
Yes.
And the 3 of us just decided to this makes sense to us, to see who else this makes sense to.
Yes.
And since then, we're 330 plus customers now. 4 years later, 2 series.
How many people are at Outbuild now?
We have 70. We just
70.
hired. I literally just hired my 10th employee just for the CS team, which is in terms of construction tech. And I've talked to a lot of construction tech customer success managers and customer success leaders because I had about 0 years of experience in customer success when I got started. So I was trying to be like, somebody's got to know how to do this better than me. I should probably listen to them. And their teams are 5, 6 people maybe, and that includes a support side. So the fact that Franco and Jean and myself, we've always been really focused on customers, always having a very heavy contingent part of the company focused on customers. We have a dozen, or 10 people that are strictly focused on customers, not sales, not marketing, not product. We keep their opinion and their feedback very much at the highest level of where we make decisions.
And then you're telling me earlier that there's a lot of growth in the last year. Can you share kind of how that has been in the last year? It's like going up a hockey stick.
It's been fun. It's better than the other way. Okay. Definitely better than the other way. We've had some kind of bumps on the bottom there for a while, but when we got our Series A last year, and we got the team to really be aligned. It was this is the growing pains, right? You go from 20 people to 30 to 40 to 50. You got to go. We always joke. It's like I stole this from our head of marketing. You go from pirate ship to Navy ship. So there's a transition of you have to have some more SOP. You can't just be this kind of ragtag group of construction professionals. Because we hire a lot of construction professionals too that had never been in construction tech. So to bring them in and be like, okay, this is how you set up accounts. This is how you manage a service chat and all this other stuff. It's cool how the technology side of it didn't really take us that long to learn because we knew the pain. Because we were all people from construction, basically. We already knew what the customers that we were focused on were dealing with. So we just took that and be like, okay, we can find a process and get that to fit just fine.
So who's the target user of Outbuild?
So we've marketed to mid-level GCs and we're growing into enterprise-level GCs. But really the main customer that we want using the software are the people that are the closest to the work. So very much last planner aligned of if you have, and I teach this all the time in my trainings that I give to people, if you have a superintendent who's got 40 years of experience, right, which most of the unicorn high-level superintendents, they have decades of experience.
40 or 50 years.
40 or 50, right, at least. And you compare that to, just say a crew of 10 guys that all have 15 years of experience, right? 40 years compared to 150 years of construction experience. And again, it's not the little bit of experience across many different things that solves the problem. It's the 150 years of very specific experience in the thing you're trying to plan that really pushes you over the line of, we're trying to do something no one's done before. Because again, buildings are in a unique location with unique materials and a unique time with unique set of subs that'll probably never work together again, and a GC that'll never exactly work in that structure again. You're trying to take so many variables and produce perfection out of it.
Okay.
You're never going to get perfection, but you can get pretty darn close to it if you leverage the money that you're spending on those people that are on your job site to do those specific jobs.
So you think that the person who's doing the installation work, the tools, are the ones that should be planning?
I think the guy that's up on the ladder stuffing the mineral wool into the cavities in the walls knows a lot more about that cavity in the wall than the superintendent.
And how long it takes.
How long it takes. There was this big problem with mineral wool not long ago where there was no mineral wool. Like it was just, and the guy who's putting it in knows that before the superintendent does. Because again, the superintendent can't be tapped into everything.
That's right.
That way, right? So you leverage the fact that these people, the dedicated team that you're hiring millions of dollars, handing millions of dollars to, right? To come in and execute this work for you. Why aren't you asking them questions? Why aren't you using their experience? Right? It's also some of those 40-year superintendents don't make it to 40 years because they burn out. Because after year 20, they're tired of doing everything for everyone.
That's right.
And then they go on and they blame the subs that the subs can't plan. They don't know what they're doing. It's like, has anybody asked them? I was a general contractor for a year, but I was in subcontracting for 7 years. And I know for a fact from specialty subcontractors, there's tons of initiative and knowledge that we just want to share.
That's true.
I was in drywall. I was in the Bay Area here for 10 years doing drywall in Stanford Hospital, San Francisco General, Disneyland. I did all sorts of projects where we were looked at as a trade that could drive production through the job site, because your framer is a very important trade that actually builds the things that everything else is going into. But there was very rare times where we were actually asked what we thought, like really asked what we thought, not like, hey, how long is that going to take? Because the people planning already had an idea of the structure of the schedule. They didn't just say, okay, hey, we need this building dried in by winter next year. How are we going to do that? And then let them make the decision, because they want to make the decision. There's a reason why they're in the sub-trades. They enjoy what they do. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in it. It's a very tough job. Let them enjoy what they do. Let them actually problem solve, progressively think, give them something where they can actually make decisions, and then come back out to you and say, hey, I think we can do this exterior in these 4 stages, but I need this road access, I need this permit approved, I need this submittal done. That's what the superintendent does. That's what the PM does. That's what the general contractor does. Go make sure that the things you're responsible for can be cleared out of your roadblock log before the subcontractor gets to that work.
Okay, so what you're saying is that most of the planning and scheduling is broken because the person furthest away from the job is doing it. Like, for example, you think that the workers should be the ones involved in the planning and scheduling, but some people believe it's the superintendent. Some people believe it's pre-construction. Some people believe it's a scheduler that does it. So the further away it is, the more broken it is, or the less accurate information is.
I think to maybe generalize that more, it's about timing and level of detail that you have. When you start a project and you are trying to get to single trade, single day detail, because either the owner's dictating it, which is one of the main problems too of, if you don't even know what the building is made out of, how could you possibly know how long it's going to take to put together? You got a general idea, but if you get to single trade, single day detail, and you logically tie it 6 ways to Sunday in a 20,000 line item schedule, how does that possibly help you actually execute on that job when all of those decisions, all those assumptions, basically you're taking a bunch of stuff, shoving it in a backpack, taking that backpack and putting it on your field team's shoulders. Okay, cool. We just gave you a whole bunch of stuff that was totally assumed that it was going to work. Okay, go make it work. Good luck, guys. We did all the thinking for you. All you got to do is hit play.
All you got to do is build a building.
Right. And then
that should be super easy, right, guys?
They find out all the materials have been alternately switched. All the materials can't be ordered because some other reason, or they weren't approved, or not fireproof, able, or whatever it is, right? So all that's switched. So all those original procurement assumptions are wrong. That leads into, okay, the timing of when these things get on site is all wrong, right? That's the lean principle, right? The more detail you plan in more advance, the more wrong that plan is.
Yes.
So why do we do it? Why do we put so much detail? And it's not in a negative way. The schedulers and the pre-construction people and all the people that are trying to set up a job for success, they're not doing this stuff to make it harder.
They don't know what they're doing.
It's just like everybody needs to step back and just look on a macro level of, does this actually help the project get done? There are many things that you need to do in pre-construction that are very, very important. Absolutely. But the second you put it on paper and somebody signs that piece of paper, there's this expectation that's set across the whole job that will slow you down. You need to have expectations set. The building needs to be dried in by this date. This many things need to happen in a row. But then leave it at that level of detail. Let the team you're spending millions and millions of dollars to come in and execute the work for you, let them execute. Ask them, hey, we have December 15th of next year to hit this. What do we need to do to make that happen?
So tell me about roadblocks and constraints, and why you think that's something that most project teams are not aware of.
It's really interesting too. 15 years of construction, I spent 70% of that time chasing superintendents around with a notebook, trying to keep up with what's in their way. Because that was my job as necessary non-value support. I wasn't the one putting the work in. I was the one actually making sure the roadblocks were moved out of the way. And if you go on, and I've asked this question, I don't know, probably 3 dozen times now. You meet a new team that's learning Outbuild, and you ask them very strategically or very directly, how are you tracking constraints? And there's always a 20-second pause. And then there's always the answer of, well, there's a couple different ways we do that, right? We have a spreadsheet, we have a whiteboard, we have a text log between my superintendent and his assistant superintendent. And that's great. It's being put somewhere, but it's not in one consolidated place, and sure isn't tied to your schedule in any sort of way. So you don't really know what's priority because you don't know how it affects the plan. So we simply just made a button, because we have three different levels of planning. The second level of planning in Outbuild is the look ahead that ties to the master. You're working through that short-term interval, 4 to 6 week view of your tasks. You're picking a task that is more than 2 days away. Like we push for, your roadblocks and things should be identified weeks and weeks away, 3, 5, 6 weeks away, right? You pick that task, you hit a little button, you ask somebody for something. Simple as that. And then that log of asks, right, roadblocks, are in one log that's in a single technology stack that's tied to the whole system.
Okay, some people may not be aware of the last planner system. Can you explain your 3 levels of planning?
Yeah, no, definitely. So top level is really the master schedule or schedule in our tool, and that's the same principle for Lean as well, where you have big, milestones and phases that are dictated in that. The look ahead is where you're taking the most adjacent tasks from the timeline, like starting today to 6 weeks out, and you're adding more detail with more people involved. The people that are doing the work are building out the single trade inside a 2 weeks type of task. And then that's the second module of Outbuild. The lowest level is the weekly plan, which is people get I got a master plan that's in a P6 or a Microsoft project, and I have an Excel spreadsheet that's tracking my short term. Perfect. People completely miss why you would want to commit every week to work. And that it's just amazing that you're doing all this work to plan, but you're not checking how good you're doing. You're not measuring. There's no KPIs for scheduling. There's all these DCMA 14-point checks and tons of different ways you can check lag and all this other stuff. But it's like in the very base ask, we're trying to do 10 things. How many of those 10 things are getting done? That's what that weekly plan and plan percent complete in the lean kind of idea produces. And it's just a simple metric. It's objective. How many things did we commit to for the week? How many things got done? And that tells you everything about not just the flow or how you're planning, but really how your team is trusting each other or working together or identifying those roadblocks early enough so that you can hit 8 out of 10, right? Because you don't want to hit 10 out of 10, right? 10 out of 10 is, I didn't do enough. I didn't push ourselves to be a little bit uncomfortable with what's in that plan. If you're hitting 100% PPC or 10 out of 10 all the time, you're missing the opportunity to push yourself a little bit harder.
So right now with lean construction, we want to have one plan and one schedule for the entire project and want everybody to use one source of information for this. In the wild, how many plans and scheduling tools do you see a team typically use?
It's amazing. It comes out of necessity, right? So a superintendent is put on a complex job. He has a huge weight on his shoulder to execute on that job. He sees P6 or she sees P6 and she's like, that's not my tool.
They throw it away.
There's no way that I could I don't even know how this thing works. And lo and behold, if I learn how this thing works, it's so complicated to the point where if I move something, it moves a dozen other things and I'm afraid to even touch it. So they go to what? Excel. They go to what they can control. They go to any other tool where you can quickly make cells and hit little check boxes and print that out. But then you're instantly fragmenting information, you're fragmenting commitments, you're fragmenting data. Because again, everyone's obsessed with data right now. Making AI tools and all this other stuff. If you don't have a structured way of capturing your scheduling data, whatever AI tool you're going to send it through is not really going to give you a true insight. Because you're not driving the car the billion miles that it needs to drive before it can drive on its own. And anybody that's building an AI scheduling tool, it's very tough to understand that, okay, this tool is telling me this insight, it's telling me this is where my risk is, but did that robot get trained on thousands of field workers and dozens or hundreds of superintendents' data? Or is it from a MS Project file that people were moving things back and forth before OAC meetings, making things work, running a data date on P6 and running an update in a silo from a desk with only as much information as they had from the field that they could get? Because again, superintendents don't like using P6. Superintendents also, again, no fault of the relationship between the scheduler and superintendent, like sitting in an office next to a scheduler, watching them put data into P6. That's almost worse than them just putting it in themselves. And that's what all of these tools are built off of.
Okay, so what are your thoughts about humans versus AI planning? Is there a role for AI?
I think there's projects where there's a lot of complexity that will allow you to make better decisions from a high level. But no matter what tool, even Outbuild, right? No matter what tool you're using to try to execute on a project, what are we faced with at the end of the day?
People to agree to do the work.
100%. There's not robots that have the ability with fine touch, nuanced fingers and hands to put a building together. I don't know. Have you seen the robotic Olympics that just took place in Asia?
No.
It's cool that they're doing it, but if you watch it, it's like little robots run around trying to kick a soccer ball, they fall over. It's pretty funny. They're not quite there yet, where you're going to have a bunch of Optimus Prime robots come in and build a building for you.
But even robots have different algorithms for going through the building, and everybody has a different style that they want to work in. You can't assume the framer wants to go this way. You got to ask the framer how they would like to do it, and then combine it. Because you give somebody a building, I would say you give 10 superintendent a building, they'll plan it 10 different ways.
It's very true.
There's no, you can't just force them to follow your plan.
That's the messy, emotional side of human planning. But that's what you're faced with. You can't just not hire subs and bring in a truckload of robots to build a building that don't act like humans. Humans have needs that aren't just food and shelter. They want to belong. They want to be part of a tribe. They want to work together to problem solve something that looks unsurmountable, right? You think of football teams that came back in the last quarter when they were down by 27 points, like the New England Patriots, right? And you think that team didn't feel like a team when they were doing that. Like they were just doing their own things, weren't talking to each other. No, they had to be aligned to a single inspired goal, and they had to be basically, as humans need, socially bonded somehow. And it's like a lot of people are like, yeah, you're never going to get subs to be socially bonded. You're never going to get teams to want to come to work and talk to each other. I've seen it happen. It does happen. It takes a lot of effort, and you got to protect the trust and the work you put into it with your life, because in a second you can lose that team tribeness and that, like, I need to go do this and take care of, electrician's not my sub trade, but I see something dangerous about to happen. I'm going to go make sure he's okay. I'm going to stop what I'm doing, which I'm going to get yelled at because I'm not producing for the half hour that I'm making sure my guy over there is okay. Like that needs to be 100% what the job site is built upon.
Do you think that we need to improve communication skills for construction projects?
I think, a lot of these teams want to work well together, but nobody helps develop them, right? It's another thing. Right? We talk to these mid-level GCs, and a lot of them look at our tool and they're like, this is awesome. This is exactly what we want. But we really struggle with the fact that how do you get these subs that we can barely get to show up to a meeting to come into a software and plan work? They don't know anything about scheduling. And the first question I ask is like, you don't need any knowledge on scheduling. You need knowledge on how to build something. What are the steps to put it together? The scheduling part's already put together with your logic ties and your master schedule. You're bringing them into that mid-level planning effort, the detail level, where they're bringing their build knowledge and they're coming in and they're executing on that, right? And that's really the important part that those subcontractor teams need to do the work. So
would you say that the tool is really there to create a system for them to work together?
Yeah. It's sorry, I was trying to get back on that thought that I was talking about for the GCs, right? So you're training, or you're trying to develop. I'll go back to the football analogy, right? You're trying to develop that team that has been working through the first 3 quarters of a football game, right? And the 4th quarter, your schedule's compressed, you're delayed. A million things have happened on the job site. You still have a drop dead date, or you're going to hit liquidated damages from your owner, right? And you're expecting them to perform to perfection in that 4th quarter when that happens. But you haven't prepared them to work well together. You haven't made it a priority to build a culture of trust on the job. You haven't provided them a tool where they can all talk to each other. Because you brought up a good point too about you can have a bunch of really good planners, but if they do it in a silo and then you kind of merge that plan together, it's not going to work.
It's going to crash.
It's
That's how people do it today.
That's how they do
They
it
just
today.
let every
Spreadsheet
trade,
from this
every
guy,
trade, yes.
meeting with this guy. I'm going to pull the steel trade in. I'm going to pull electrical trade in. And the only merger between all that is a single superintendent and a single PM. And somehow you got to get all of that information perfectly aligned with two people being the conduit of that change.
Or the worst case is that a superintendent calls you and say, hey, I need you to bring all your framers tomorrow. Like, bring as many people as you can. You come, and the work before you is not even done.
Yeah.
And like, what did I do with these 10 guys? Because I had to pay them, but we don't do any work. Or, so to protect yourself, what you do is, when he says it's done, you don't believe him. So you just take 2 guys, and you're like, okay, he's not actually quite done. And then, or you take 1 guy just to check out for the week, and then you send your guys the next week because you want to make sure that you're productive. And this is actually why schedules take longer, because people don't believe the information they're getting.
It's the problem, right? Is you're trying to do the perfect amount of work with the perfect amount of people, with the perfect amount of material at the exact right time. And oh yeah, the weather has to be perfect too for it all work, right?
Yeah.
It is like an absolutely obscene. That's why there's over optimism when it comes to planning things. For all of that to align perfectly and happen exactly how you planned it, very, very rare, near impossible.
Okay. What are your thoughts about using sticky notes? Do you advocate for them using sticky notes to do planning, or do you think that it should all be on a software system?
I think to get a lot of ideas out there, there's low fidelity. You can't beat just the wall and scribbling on a wall for ideas. But that information has to get onto something where it's not just memorialized, but it can be shared. It's cloud-based. It can anybody anywhere in the world can see what that data is and help remove things that are in that data. So we did Disney. We had 3 rooms full of nothing but pole planning boards. And it was one, I felt so bad for this intern. His entire job was to go through those 3 rooms every day, take and it was hundreds of stickies. Take all those stickies and put it into a computer. So there's a step where you have to get to it anyways. And what's really interesting about when you walk out on a job site, everybody's got a cell phone that's less than 2 years old. People say that, yeah, everybody out in the field, they're not technology savvy, or there's no way they can schedule, right? I understand maybe the scheduling principles. You can teach them the basic ones of that. But the technology savvy, I have to push up against. Because field teams, if you ever walked on a job site at lunchtime, they're streaming Netflix. They're streaming TikTok. They're not totally blind to what's happening in terms of the world of logins and clicking a button and having an account for something. They all know how to use technology. So no one's asked them. No one's pushed them to be like, if you're going to be on this job, you're going to use Outbuild. You're going to plan your task before we have this meeting so that our pole plan meeting is no longer 3 hours long. It's 30 minutes long because all of the details are already in there. We're planning work, sequencing work, marking roadblocks, resequencing after a discussion. You can do that with a huge project with a 20-person sub-team in 30 minutes. Again, I've seen it done. I've done it.
So do most people use their phone or iPad, or how do they use Outbuild?
Yeah, so a lot of project teams, we push to have communal iPads like in the planning room. We have them make a tall table, take all the chairs out of the room, put a big TV in there, make the people leave their own cell phones and their own computers at the door. You use the communal computers, and then one guy just looking at what's already put in there. As we push to for pole plan meetings, 95% of the work's already done. You've already got all the tasks in there. They might not be sequenced, but you got a task and a duration listed in there. And you can do that from your couch the night before or from your truck, hopefully not while you're driving, but if you're in traffic, you do it from your truck or your tailgate, have it ready for next morning's meeting or next week's meeting, and then you just go in there and sequence the work. And that's why Outbuild, the second level of Outbuild, that has no logic tie. There's nothing that constrains you from moving things freely. If you go outside of what the end date was for the master schedule that this look ahead's tied to, it will give you the ability to send what we call a schedule impact request. So you can connect the two and say, hey, we've worked through this plan for multiple weeks. We can't find a way to hit that original assumption. Here's a note. Here's why. Here's who's involved. Here's if it's compensable or excusable. Here's who needs to approve it. All that's done in one little thing that's sent over. That superintendent, that PM can read that note in 20 seconds, approve it, schedule's updated. How that process works now all of this is done in Excel. That Excel is delayed in getting to whoever needs to see it. The scheduler finally sees it. The scheduler finally has time, because they're a shared resource across an entire company, finally has time to look at that spreadsheet. He looks at the spreadsheet. He doesn't really fully understand what it's saying, but he gets an idea that this is going to be late. He puts it into P6. That update happens. I mean, this is like weeks that it takes, instead of literally a 20-second little data bit that is logged. And the other thing too is that that's physical and then typed in. And then how do you know the story? How do you go back 6 months later and know every one of those requests, every one of those changes? There's a log that comes out of P6, but it's like a gnarly text file that I don't know how anybody reads. But that's the only way you can track how things have changed. Where Outbuild, you have a log. We have a whole tool is about to be released, actually, that allows you to filter by these schedule and pack requests, see who approved them, see why they were approved. You can filter by excusable or non-excusable ones, or compensable or non-compensable ones. You can make a time impact analysis in a matter of minutes. You don't even need to have a scheduler spend a week on it.
So do owners and architects use Outbuild, or is it just the trades and general contractor that uses it?
Anybody, when you get to that level of planning that involves decision making or stakeholdership from somebody either on the job site or outside the job site, needs to be involved with that planning. So if it's a submittal activity, or if it's even a field activity that needs owner approval or architect approval, they need to be tagged in a roadblock. They need to get that email. They need to be held accountable for supporting the field team and getting their work done. Because the field team, if they're doing their job right, they have identified that roadblock, that submittal, that sample that they need weeks ahead of when they actually need it. And as I was trained as an architect, the biggest thing that architects deal with is you produce a drawing set, it's supposed to be 100%, even though everyone knows it's never 100%, and you're expected to work on the next 100% set, while the one that you just produced is being built, and they're riddled with problems. Not really your fault, but there's a ton of things that you couldn't foresee.
Yeah.
And now you're getting dragged in two directions to produce the new drawings for a totally different project, and then also fix the old ones that you don't even remember what you drew anymore because it's been 7 months, even a year, or years. Even.
Or several years.
And it's like you're setting up teams for failure because it's already a strained resource that you're not giving a clear prioritized list of what you need from them. And everybody blames architects for being behind and causing things to be delayed. It's like, no, just you guys are all over the place in what you need from them. Be very clear what you need. Give them top 5 priority things. You'll get it. You'll get it back from them.
A lot of people think that the contracts require P6. How do you overcome when they say my contract requires me to use P6, I can't use Outbuild?
They require an XER file.
So they require P6 as a output file, right? Not the software.
An XER file, right? So, and really, we wrote a whole blog article on this too. It's an owner puts that in there because they don't know anything else that has been able to provide clarity and basically hold up in a court of law if something goes south. So again, it's more the legal litigation side that's asking for P6. Because once the P6 schedule gets put into the contract and it has the single day, single trade detail, there's all these other tools like Claim Digger and all these other things that you can put on top of P6 that allows you to produce a report that you can go back and get money from the problems that were caused on the job site. But it's always interesting to think about, is that, again, level of detail and what you're setting the job up to use, is that not causing you the problems? Are you not blind to the issues as you're building a project because you're using a tool like P6 that is so inaccessible by everybody else that's doing the project? I mean, you're waiting for answers for months. It's no wonder you're in claims court because you got to make money back because you were, I always say, driving the car looking through the rearview mirror. And P6 is just a really fancy rearview mirror that allows you to look behind you really well. Why not use a tool that, as it's happening, it's not a dumpster fire yet, it's a little ember of a problem. You can solve it when it's the $10 problem instead of when it's the $100,000 problem or $100 million problem. Like, why not catch them there, fix them there, and not go to court?
That's it.
Tell me say hi. I turned mine off because I knew that was going to happen to me too. So
okay, well, he's going to cut out that part.
No, dude, this is real. This is the blooper reel. This is the blooper reel. Keep it in there. I'm just glad it wasn't me because I get calls all the time.
We got most of the podcast. So you're saying is that the tools that you're choosing can lead to the problems that you wanted to avoid. So start with the better tools.
Well, Outbuild for one, right? So, I'm again, we're still figuring everything out. There's still so much to figure out, but we've tapped into something that people really align with. We have customers that are telling their friends. Like we've had so many word of mouth referrals in the last year, even. Our first couple of years, we didn't even have a marketing budget. Like we had one person that was kind of trying to build things, but we were just focused on selling and growing and growing and growing. And then we finally brought in a marketing team, and it's been growing on its own. Like I can't wait because again, you put in marketing budget in, and it's like 2 years before it really hits. Like it's the shade of the tree you planted 20 years ago that you're finally sitting in. So the stuff that we're feeling now is just from our work from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and it's cool to feel that people have aligned with not just the idea, but like our company, our people. Like we went to Costa Rica as a whole group, and that was the first time that I worked for 4 years for the company. There's first time I've met half the team because we're all fully virtual company, right? We're based in trailers everywhere. Says we were built in San Francisco, but we're actually fully remote. We don't have a headquarters anywhere. And why I like talking about Outbuild is not just because I think it's the better tool that allows you to more align to the execution of a project, because I love our people. I love our company. I love how we make other people feel. We run a service chat. There's a full 8 a.m., 8 p.m. Eastern time service chat, bottom left corner of Outbuild. You can click it anytime during those hours. A human will come in and help you. We have people that go into that chat that don't ask us any questions about Outbuild. They just want to say hi.
Okay.
Which is really interesting. Like that's something I didn't expect. Was I thought people would only ask us if there was a technical issue or something. They like talking to their team.
What did they ask you about?
All sorts of random stuff.
Like what?
Yeah, like it's mostly like they'll know the rep so well or the timing. It's like, hey, is Ben there? Hey Ben, how you doing? And they'll see if Ben answers, right? And it's just it's a guy or girl in their trailer. It's end of the day. They might have a question eventually, but they know Ben or Brittany or Skylar or myself or any of our team so well that they ask for us by name, and then they just know everything about us.
Did you know your birthdays and they give you like?
It might be a little creepy if they say, do. I push my team.
Say, hey, Michael, happy birthday.
I push my team to know that about them.
Okay.
Because that's again, if we're providing a software solution above and beyond that, we can also just know our client really well. We know what that person's dealing with. We know that, they were dealing with this super long permit that took their owner forever to put in, because I just talked to you about that last month. I remember that because that's what we were dealing with, and I've dealt with the same thing. And then there's like one question on like, oh yeah, how do you indent this again? Oh, cool. Yeah, okay, cool. Then let's talk about something else for 5 minutes.
Are they ever surprised about how much you remember about them?
Yes. I think we do a really good job of tracking all this stuff. We're doing a retreat. The whole team's coming out to California, and we're going to work on even better ways to provide this unreasonable hospitality to our team and our clients. Because our NPS is telling us, our surveys are telling us, we like you guys. We love the tool. It's, sometimes there's some things that we need to fix, but beyond that, you guys just are always there. You're always there when you need us. You know what we're talking about. We're not channeled through some like AI bot that gets us to a link that doesn't really answer our question. It's like you get straight to you. You know who we are. You know exactly what we're dealing with. I mean, the holy grail in customer success is we can answer the question before it's asked. We can literally see somebody having an issue, fix their problem, and be like, hey, you didn't even know this was happening, but we fixed this before you ran into it. Same as like how you use Outbuild and Roadblock. We fixed this before you ran into it so that you can just proceed throughout your day.
So what I'm seeing is that you're trying to make Outbuild not just a software people use, but be a partner in how they deliver projects, and also not only think in terms of features and pricing, but think about customer service, customer success, how they engage with you. So it's a much bigger conversation.
I think, honestly, if you're trying to do what we're doing and execute on a project better, you could do it with pen and paper. You really can. It would be tough, but if you built it around culture, a mentality, taking care of each other, making it cool to care for each other, that makes all the difference of actually making the thing happen. Because again, you're tapping into the human side of it. You do all these tools and all these extra expensive things that you're putting on top of your processes, and it produces this great report or this great schedule that was made on its own. I could just load a submittal document into it. It tells me what my schedule is going to be. You're still handing that to a group of humans that need to go out and do a dangerous job in the rain, right? For multiple months, away from their families, driving 3 hours a day just to get to this job site. They don't care how you made this plan. They care about themselves. They care about their teammates and making it actually fun to be there. You can go to any job site, any live job site, and you ask any guy out there, do you enjoy coming to this job site? Do you look forward to Monday morning to come work here?
The answer would determine if the product is going to be good or not.
I think it's one of the main metrics that I would even build into Outbuild. It's just a survey where you're asking your team, do you guys like working here? If you don't like working here, then I'm not getting the best. I'm not getting your best out here. I know that. How do I change that? Stop trying to buy more tools to load up the office side of things. Buy a ping pong table for the job site. Why doesn't anybody do that?
The last amenities you give is the people in the job site, even in the bathrooms.
That's a key point.
You don't even get, they get to the worst.
You're asking these guys to be guys and girls to be superhuman. They don't even have toilet paper in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Right? Why not? That doesn't cost any. That's way cheaper than any
They
technology.
don't even have water.
They barely even water.
You don't even give them sparkling water. You buy the cheapest big jug.
It's a broken down canopy that's half hanging off the job trailer is where they can get away from the 150-degree heat to eat their lunch. Why not have like a dedicated area where they can socialize and work? And again, they get break times, right? And I put this on the internet, and people like tore me apart because they're like, "No, you're just some San Francisco thinking dude." I'm not even from I grew up in
San Jose.
Not even that. I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in the middle of a cornfield. Like I know hard work more than anybody else. I've been working on a farm since I was 13. But if you think again, as humans are driven by or inspired by certain things, they're not inspired by your super complex schedule. They're inspired by, wow, the people that have the owner, mostly the owner in this GC, made it a priority to give me a place to eat, give me a place to socialize. That's not just me hanging off a scaffold right now trying to put stuff on the building. They actually care. They care about that I'm dedicating and sacrificing a lot to be on their job and make their project happen. And it's not just the every, once a quarter safety barbecue that they throw at us. They do it every day, and they make it a point every day. There's signs out on the job site that say, you guys are badass, for no reason, like just a sign put out there. And I got so many stories about when I was building hospitals around here, we would choose very similar builds, like a patient wing that was exactly the same in two different wings. I'd have a apprentice-based crew, like a very young crew of drywallers, and I'd have an experienced journeyman-based crew, which is like, twice as much as experience. I would have them start the exact same time, the exact same amount of square footage, everything controlled. I would give the apprentice crew shirts and hats. I wouldn't tell them why. I'd say, you know what, you guys are doing well. Let's see what you guys can put in today. Here's a shirt, here's a hat. Here's a hat. Let's see what you can do. Guess what the difference was between those two groups by the end of the day?
50%?
Not quite. It was like 40%. But still, think of, again, every day you do that, if you inspire a team. And again, these guys, like the other driver, the journeyman crew is supposed to be putting in 10, 15 sheets more than the apprentice crew, just because they're more experienced. They know how to do things faster. I went over by them and I said, hey guys, how you doing? I just walked by. I didn't give them any sort of extra boost for the day. And again, it was a $15 shirt and a $10 hat. And that created $30,000 worth of value that one day.
In one day.
One day, right? And it's just like, if you think about how humans are inspired to do their work and you focus on that, it doesn't matter all these, you don't even need Outbuild. Just focus on that. Outbuild will help you do it because as a core of our company, we believe in democratization of decision-making and treating people the way that, inspiring those people to be part of their plan. That's why we have all those modules and those analytics that show you where you might be struggling. But in a constructive way, not in a kind of siloed, I click one button, it tells me if my schedule is like built the way that the government says I should build my schedule.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd rather ask the guy in the field who's putting in the drywall.
And I would say that most job sites, it feels like going to war. Minus the getting shot at or bombed, because you
I know they got those shotguns that they.
But you look at the job trailer, like if I was trying to create the worst conditions for people to go to work, I would. This is exactly what I would do. I go to the job site, right?
That's the truth.
No, you take a picture of the toilets and you take a picture of the trailer and you say, hey, young people, you want to work in this industry? Like,
I know.
No. Like,
isn't that crazy?
You're trying to you're saying that we're gonna have the worst furniture, the worst chairs, the worst of everything
Chairs?
that you can ever get.
Chairs? They don't have chairs on a job site?
They're folding.
Not even though. No. The guys got to eat lunch hanging in their man lifts. They don't have chairs. What are you talking about? No, it's so true, and I've been on so many job sites now, and there's actually a lot of GCs that are changing that. They're building these container pre-built that are like super nice, that provide this like real, like a finished office space to do their job. Just think about that. Instead of a dusty mobile mini that's barely held together with glue and scotch tape, right? Like, get them a real office. Spend the money, because again, you're going to inspire them to be like, wow, they actually like spent some money on this lunch area. I feel compelled to actually do a little bit better job and show up here.
Yeah, but I would say that there's a very big disconnect between the amenities you give people. You say, hey, we're going to give you like the worst amenities ever. And by the way, you're building a hospital, state-of-the-art hospital. Like, there's a big disconnect between what you give them and what you want them to do.
Yeah.
It's a big disconnect.
I just did level 5 finish on a hospital wing that Mark Zuckerberg is going to bring his sick children to. That looks beautiful, but I don't even have a real toilet to go. Yeah, like, why is that? There's so many stories too about these buildings getting put together that nobody knows, and I think that's the other part of construction, to inspire the new generation to come in of like, this building has a story. Do you know anything about who built this building? When? How did it go? Do we know anything about that? Are there any health metrics or scores about how many people, got divorced while they're working on this job? How many people struggled with alcoholism when they're working on this job? Right? Really bad metrics you wouldn't want to know. Or the other side of the metrics of, we know if this building has clean air. There's all these LEED certifications and green globes that track like the health of the building after it's been created. Why isn't there a health of the project being built? Why isn't it like a metric of, we surveyed the team every 3 months and your morale score was 20%? Like, why didn't you boost for more? Like, it's just as important, because there's just as much human sacrifice that goes into building this building as it is in working in it, I think.
I would say that people don't want to spend the money for these conditions because they always think that the construction site is temporary. Yeah. But if it's how many years does it take for you to consider something temporary? Because like temporary, is it 5 years temporary? Because these projects are like 5-10 years long, and you're like, if I move into a house and I'm only going to be here for 5 years, I won't buy any furniture, right? I'll just live on the floor. Yep. That's the mentality. Like, oh, it's temporary because 5 years is temporary. Yep. 5 years is a long time.
I'll shout out the new Stanford Hospital. They built a trailer complex there. It's actually a pretty nice trailer complex. But honestly, that trailer complex has been there for almost 10 years now. Like, it's not temporary. It's like a permit. It should be just a permit. They should have just built a building there.
Yeah, 10 years.
Right? And made it like built out and everything, because honestly, there's been people working in that thing nonstop for a decade plus.
And you don't realize that. Let's say you improve the lunchroom. 20 years, let's say the project is over. What are you going to do with that? You're going to move to the next job. Yeah. You're not going to throw it away and rebuild it again. No.
That's what those container ones are like. It's in a container. You put it up back on a truck. You ship it to the next one. It's not
like your furniture. You have nice furniture. You're not going to just throw away your furniture. You're going to move to the next job. So it's a one-time investment.
Most owners maybe push back against this, but if you're building an office space that has a break room, that has toilets, right? Like, I know everyone's like, oh, don't let the construction guys in there. They're going to destroy everything. If you treat the mentality of, okay, we're extending the trust for you guys to, not maybe the main office or anything like that, but there's like an area somewhere that you can build out something nicer and have them want to actually be there. Again, it's the shirt and the hat principle. I spent $25 per apprentice for a shirt and a hat, and they gave me each $5,000, $6,000 back. Like, that's a great return on investment.
Yeah, and then, the reason why you say, oh, the construction workers going to destroy our restrooms. The reason why you destroy it is because you're pushing them to go back to work fast. Yeah. Like you don't have time for breaks. Go back. And they're like, oh, I can't. Do I have time to clean up? No. Go.
Yeah, I mean, the other epidemic in construction is that people treat construction as the last resort. It's like, oh, I washed out everything else. I'm not smart enough to start a business. I'm just gonna, pour concrete. It's like it's a very noble, admirable thing. You're building the infrastructure that all of us need to live in and work in and play in every day. We drive on roads that are built by guys. You're not second-class citizens. You are more important than a lot of other people that claim to be more important than you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, if they don't even understand that, they're definitely not going to act that way. They're definitely not going to take care of the space around them or each other. We have to treat them as like what they actually are. They're a dying breed that is drastically being depleted. And everybody, data centers, for instance, right? Everybody wants to build data centers. Who's going to build these data centers? Who's going to put these things together, right? Like, less and less people want to go to the potty in a porta-john.
Yeah.
And then next generation, I teach college classes too, which is a great opportunity for Outbuild to be like kind of shown to the new generations.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what they say about the current tools that are in the industry or the current ways that?
No. What are they saying?
They're just confused.
Like why? Why are people this bad?
Yeah, they're like why?
Why?
So,
it makes no sense.
So your entire business is built upon contracting work out to another subset of people that work in a different company, and then you don't work to develop them. You don't work to build a relationship, fully a relationship with them, not just like a handshake and a wink here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, and they're really, I mean, these kids are
You're
really
handing
smart.
like hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars to the trades.
And then you're telling them what to do, right? You're trying to pay for that experience, and then you're telling them what to do. So it's, and I won't even tell you what they think of Microsoft Project or P6. They don't even know what to say.
Oh, what university or community college?
I just did
what are you teaching?
Kent State University. Was this week actually. I've done a lecture at Purdue. I've done a lecture I did a whole class at Dunwoody Tech. Shout out Dunwoody Tech. Awesome class. And they sent me a swag package with a hat and a sweatshirt and everything. It was great. That was a full semester. I was there every Monday and Wednesday doing
You flew in?
No, we tried to do it in person. It was all virtual, but I want to do one of these in person too.
I mean, San Jose State would be a good fit for you.
There's probably there's tons of them, and we have a whole
It's a big
section
program.
of the website now that's for educators and students. And please, again, shout out, get online, it's under the resources column. You guys can we offer it free, totally free.
So, what do you think is broken in this industry?
I think it's just the way we treat each other. Because I've been in the industry, again, 15 plus years. I've met some spectacular people. I've met some not spectacular people. In a whole, we really just don't treat each other really well. Because it's called contracting, we hide behind paperwork, we hide behind signatures. We say that, well, it's in the contract. If you ever need to say that to somebody else, by the way, too, like, oh, it's in the contract, that's why you need to do it, you're already losing. Because there's not a person on this planet that is ever going to do something just because it's on a piece of paper. They might do it physically, but there's no heart and soul in it.
But most of them know how to read the contract.
True. That's the other thing too.
So you can't even expect them to read it. Like, it's in the contract.
I'm waiting for an owner to come in and be like, on a piece of paper, 1-page Word document, help me build this building, period. And that's the contract, right? And then everything else is just like, okay, you're going to take care of this and you take care of that. And if there's some gap between it, we'll figure out who's better at filling that gap, and we'll work together. Because if I want a building quickly, if I want a data center built in record time and perfection, I need to have the absolute best out of the team that I'm hiring, because I'm trying to do this as fast as possible without any defects. And you can't just approach that as a normal humdrum status quo. I have a 30,000 line item P6 schedule that'll save me to get this thing done. It's going to slow you down. Trust me, you can get people to do things you never thought possible if you treat them like humans, if you inspire them the way humans like to be inspired.
So, given that you've played many roles in this industry, what are some uncommon truths or realization that you have that you think most people would not know if they don't have your experience?
That's a good question. I mean, not to keep harping on it too, but I've tried. I wouldn't say I really tried, but I've tried the command and control. Here's a rigid process that we made fit into this process because, I did all the thinking for you. Here it is. And then I tried the other process of, you ask me a question, I'll ask you a question right back, because I want you to feel empowered. I'm not hiring you to tell you what to do. I'm hiring you because you're supposed to tell me what to do. You're on this section of the team or this division because you're the best tool we have to get what's on your plate done. What do you need from me is what I always say. I remember I meet with my team too, is like, tell me all the things. What are all the things right now? And I leave it completely open for them to fill it with whatever's in there. It has such a stronger, more profound effect on not just things getting done, but those people feeling empowered to just make their own decisions and come up with things that I could have never thought of. Because again, I'm not close enough to the work, just like how a GC is not close enough to the wall to know exactly what needs to happen to make that thing built perfectly in time under budget.
Mm-hmm.
You're expecting a lot out of people to know that aren't close enough to the work to know that.
So what's your vision for a better future of this industry?
I would love to have construction influencers have more followers than Taylor Swift. I think that would be really cool.
We're starting to have construction influencers. It's like 10 years ago, you say, yes, this would be famous people in this industry. Like, really? That's crazy, right?
We started an Instagram, I think, I don't know, it was like a month ago, and we got like 60 views or something. We were so excited. Like, yes.
Yeah, 60 people.
Yes, 60 people. Like you got, what's your following now? For the blog and the...
So LinkedIn, I think I have like 23,000 people follow. And on the blog, we have 200, 300,000 people read it every year. Newsletter, I think we're like 12,000, 13,000.
And this is how many years of work to do that?
Over 10 years.
Exactly.
It took a while.
Right? And not saying like these other like movie stars and things didn't work on it too, but it's like they get that in a month.
Yeah, it takes a while.
Or a day, right? And it's just like the whole focus on, the lifestyle of the rich and famous and what they do is interesting. And I think humans just always be naturally inclined to be interested in that. Maybe we're crazy, right? But I don't think we're the only ones that could be interested in how buildings get put together. And
I think more people, I think the general public would be more interested if more of the stories are out there. Exactly. Like this podcast. Yeah. Or more stories about the job sites or more stories about improving the industry. Yep. More positive stories.
More positive stories. Or even, I mean, not to talk about all the negative in construction, but like some of the stuff that's real too, because people, especially the newer generation, they appreciate honesty and authenticity and cancel culture, right? Like when you've been fake and you get found out, you get destroyed, right? And then your career's over basically. So and that's what we say too. We're unapologetically authentic at Outbuild. I tell every one of my CSs whenever you're on a call, don't change anything about who you are. You're hired because of who you are. Do it the way you would do it. And it has never failed me. Okay, so this is the last question of the podcast. What are one or two takeaways that you want the audience to take away from this conversation? I think making it cool to care is super important when, not even the new modern tools or leveraging iPads and iPhones and other things. If you treat your people like humans and you don't just do aspirational culture building, like break room poster type of culture building, like real culture building, and you dedicate your time in making sure that culture lands. I'm talking every job site, inside your own offices, inside of any design charrette in an architecture firm. It makes a huge difference. It makes all the difference. Because I grew up in the industry trying to implement a bunch of these tools. If you just throw a tool at them or you just throw an idea at them and you don't reinforce it with the why and also with the I got you if you struggle with it, it doesn't ever go anywhere. It's just a waste of time for everybody. And the construction industry is for sure mired in this status quo thinking. We've made enough money doing it this way. Why? We don't feel enough pain to shift yet. It's like you're already going to miss the boat. There's GCs that are starting ground up. There's 3 in the Bay Area that I know of, ground up, that are starting with this mindset. They are going to come for your lunch. You're going to get passed up. Not only are they going to take your business, they're going to take all of this young talent that wants to work in a company that thinks this way, not your company. Not your company that's not ever, they've tried, but like fully leaned into how do we get the guys in the field to feel like they belong there? How do we get anybody on a job site anywhere to feel like they belong there, that they're safe there, that they can bring up any problem there, that there's so much trust that they really enjoy the 2.5-hour drive because they can't wait to get to the job site to work. People think that's an unattainable thing. I think it's very possible. You just have to be disciplined and dedicated to it and believe that it's going to work. Okay. Well, thank you for being on the podcast, Michael. Thank you. And thank you for listening to us. If you have any more questions about Outbuild, feel free to reach out to Michael. Yep. And if you need customer support, Michael's the one to do it, right? If you need anybody to talk to, we're there. Yes. We're there in the chat. Try to try to ask one question about Outbuild so we can justify why we're talking to our boss. But beyond that, anybody anytime, we're welcome to talk. So,
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
thank you, Dylan.
Thank you.